Good evening to all. Welcome to Dr.Ramaraju. Thank you.
Good morning to everyone in North America, and good evening to all our friends in India. This is a Satsang dedicated to message and life of a rare saint and scientist. Rare saint and scientist, Dr. Swami Jnanananda. Allow me for a few minutes to introduce to you about Swami Jnanananda. Swami Jnanananda is a rare saint and great modern scientist. He is one of the great personages of world can truly proud of has been Swami Jnanananda. Born on 5th December 1896 in Goraganamudi in West Godavari district in Andhra Pradesh, India, son of Dr.Ramaraju and Sita Devi. Swami Jnanananda left for Himalayas when he was 21. There he practiced yoga, studied Vedic literature, and transcended into being a legendary saint. He wrote poems, commentaries on classic Vedic philosophy, even original masterpieces like Purna Sutras. In 1927, he left India for Germany, where he lectured on Vedic philosophy. However, he used his stay there to study mathematics and theoretical and experimental physics at the College of Science and Technology, Dresden. He then took up research in high tension and X-ray physics at Charles University, Prague, where he was awarded degree of Doctor of Science. At the beginning of the World War II, he left Germany and reached England, where he joined University of Liverpool and did remarkable researches in nuclear physics, spectroscopy of beta radiation. He was awarded a PhD degree there. During his period, he became fellow of London's famous Institute of Physics and wrote a book on high vacuum. At the peak of World War II, he was invited to the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor in the United States, where he carried out important research work in nuclear physics for 3 years. He came back to India in 1947 and joined National Physical Laboratory in Delhi. In 1954, he came to Andhra University and did outstanding research work in nuclear physics. He attained Mahasamadhi in 1969. So that is a brief introduction of Swami Jnanananda. Swami Jnanananda's given name is Lakshmi Narasimharaju. At the age of 17, at the age of 21, he left for Himalayas. At the age of 21, based on the teachings of Lord Buddha, Bhagavad Gita, Vedas, and all other classic works, including some of the works, philosophical works of West, like Immanuel Kant and Plato. He went to Himalayas, started intense yoga sadhana, and attained highest state of spirituality called Nirvikalpa Samadhi. So he attained perfection at the age of 25. And then he came to Benares with his guru Purnananda, and he was identified there and came back to his native village called Goraganamudi in Andhra Pradesh. And there he wrote this poem, Man to Buddha, and that's I'm going to read it to you and try to briefly translate into a simple English language from poetry to language. So let us try to see how it works. What this poem is, man to Buddha, that is a common man like all our who are householders, who wants to gain knowledge and attain perfection, like Siddhartha did in becoming a Buddha. And in this poem, Swami Jnanananda writes in a poetry the steps that one goes through from man to state of Buddha. Let me briefly tell you what the poem is all about. Then it makes it easier for me to explain the poetic form and into the language. I hope you will forgive me for doing this because I'm neither a poet nor any great knowledge of translating poetry into English. But as a commoner, I'll do my best. These steps starts from explaining a common man, his chitta, meaning brain, what is his status of his status and what kind of struggle he goes through to go through the daily life and all the struggles he faces in the daily life. Then he is not satisfied with where he is and tries to, then he gets disgusted, gets very disappointed with all he earned or what he has done so far. Then he tries to look into his own self and tries to find out, then this is not the way. And then he seeks the help of a noble guide and gets gets under his guidance and goes through all the steps he has to go through to attain the knowledge. He has to go through from the deep darkness and to the light. And these are not easy steps. And these steps, there are many hindrances that one has to go through. Depends on his background, on his deeds done in his immediate present life, and also some of his past lives. These are not easy. This leads a lot of sacrifice, understanding, reasoning, as well as his from his past karmas. However, with his guidance from his guru, he goes through all the steps, goes through yoga stage, and attains through various forms of yoga stage, including attains perfection in the form of concept of Satchitananda, and attains through stage of Sunyam, brilliance, and attains perfection and becomes a Buddha. So these are the stages that he has to go through. And these were the stages that Swami Jnanananda wrote as a poem in a beautiful, beautiful English. So let us read this page by page, and I'll try my level best to translate into common English. Behold, darkness seems to veil in 1,000-fold. and there seems to be a negation of light. The causal winds blow with all their might. The Chitta sea has joined the fray, swirling ceaseless waves in the usual way. I am, its heaving waters roar. If there is a none but himself of the days of yore, does the roarer with his constant roar, as if there is none but himself of the days yore, does the roarer with his constant roar, breaking the hasty vision of the outdoor door, his fleeting wave forms lightly perceives, then seeing the world he wrongly conceives, and lo, the conceived world he thinks is pleasure, and by this through he changes beyond thought. Let's go through this a little bit at a time. Okay, he in this we shouldn't say paragraph, but I have to say a paragraph. In this paragraph, he is describing the mind of a common man, so to speak. He considers himself self, which Ramana Maharshi calls as small self. That is me, I am. What am I? What am I doing? I'm going through the struggles of life. I'm trying to make a living. I'm trying to get some wealth, so to speak. I want to be happy. So I'm working hard in this world. So in this world, what am I going through? I'm working very hard. And what is my mind? What is state of my mind? I have to be selfish to go through my life. And what am my mind going through? It is going through like as if I'm in an ocean during a storm. What happens in a storm? There is at night time in a storm on the ocean, there is darkness all around. There is a lot of deep waves going up and down, and it's very dark. And these waves are going up and down with constant this roaring. And there are fleeting waves, and there are some dark waves, there's high waves, there is low waves. And also he's going through these difficult times, and also he's going through some times of pleasure. So he makes a good living. So he has all he wants. So he has pleasure. And this conceived world, the conceived world means this is what is called Maya, M-A-Y-A. What Maya is, it is perceptual universe. This is what we see with our eyes, with our ears, with our Jnanendriyas, eyes, nose, tongue, and charm, and skin, and with the interaction of Mahabhutas, meaning earth, water, sky, and ether. And our brain gets through the chitta, the mind, with manas, aham, and go through the 4 stages and gets the chitta, the mind. And this chitta joined the fray. It is going into the fight. So what is happening to this common man at this time, this samsari, is making a living, is trying to be happy like everyone else. He wants to make earning. He's gaining the he's going through school. He's going through all the whatever he has to do, get the wealth, and he's happy, so to speak. But he's not happy because of these conflict he has in his mind. So what he's going through at this time, he says, there is none but himself of the days of yore. He says, I am. It's heaving waters roar, as if there is none but himself of the days of yore. Meaning his past deeds, past life, and the past days. And he's just thinking about himself, which is we all do normally. That's what happens. And the world then the seen as world he wrongly perceives. That means what we perceive this world is the real world. Next paragraph, please. While he is there, let me read through sutras, which are from Purna Sutras written by Swami Jnanananda, based on the yogic philosophy by the great saint Patanjali. And here he explains what that sentence means. This universe of diversity and manyness, as appears as such, is not an objective reality. It, as it appears as such, is only a subjective representation. The representation consists of externalization of the modifications of the mind stuff in a particular order. So that is what we all perceive this world is. But this is a modification of our chitta or mind. So what we do? We do, moving on, jumping like a wild steed, bringing up a great surging tide indeed, by attachment to the very rising tide, to the mirage the world full is tied. Then darkness he imagines as brilliancy mine, sense attachment he supposes as love divine, every wise he interprets as virtue fine, ignoble ease he takes as supreme bliss, and each desire he thinks to be godly wish. Then he moves and thus he goes on every day, till his nescience punishes his own way. So what are we doing? We are going like a wild steed, like a wild horse. We're working hard, we're jumping, we're doing this, we're doing that. And we're going through like that surging tide he describing in mid-storm. And while we're going up the tide, we're going up the very rising tide with what? With our attachments. So with our attachments to our body, to our mind. So we're going with the rising tide. What are we seeing? We are seeing that mirage. And with mirage, we are tied to that mirage with our foolishness, with our attachment. We're tied. Then we are seeing this darkness, what we think is bright. And this, we are attached to this darkness. We're thinking it is brilliant. And we are thinking of this attachment as love divine. We're thinking this divine's love or bhakti. Otherwise, we think it is love's divine. What he's saying here, although we know, we actually justify our deeds, our wrong deeds. When we do the wrong deeds, we justify ourselves. Okay, this is okay, this is virtue fine or virtue divine. We ignoble is, that means we with this sense, with very stressful life, we take it as supreme bliss. And each desire that we desire, he thinks is godly wish. Thus he moves on, and thus he goes on every day till his nescience punishes his own way, or ignorance punishes in a way. In other words, what we're doing here with your sense attachments, we are going through our life, stressful life. We are interpreting, we are doing the right thing. We are doing everything we are doing is the right thing, with the right cause, in the right way. We think what we're seeing, all this darkness, has brilliance. So we are tied because of our attachment to this life, the sense attachments, the sense meaning those Jnanendriyas we briefly mentioned before. Now he moves like bull of an oil mill. See, that bull is attached to that, whatever the attachment, that thing to the grinder. So that is sense attachment. So these attachments are for the low pleasures. He tries all his will. So with this attachment, we're going through life, stress of the life. We're going on and on and on. So at this time, we're bringing the thinking, we're going through our stress of life. Next, please, next paragraph. And for low pleasures, he strives with all his will, but his ignorant acts bring forth results ill. Lo, his mighty struggles of no avail. And lo, to please him, to obtain things fail. For his acts mean him nature doth reject. For each cause brings its sure effect. Then comes his past actions' painful result, a severe slap and a sharp insult, which embrace him without his least consult. And there decrease all his strength and might. Then for him how many dangers await. For more how many difficult chain him tight. So we are going through all this like a bull. Then all this cause and effect. So every deed that we do, there is a cause and there is effect. And these causes in different ways, in the present life and the past life. And these are painful. And these painful results give us a slap in the face, sometimes sharp result. So with our past karmas, we start to feel it. Be it in simple languages, whatever difficulties we face. We are fine during our young age. As we grow older, we get all our problems. And all those young age is gone, we get into difficulties, whether it's whatever it may be. It may be financial, it may be all the health issues, all we go through. Age. So just going through phase of gaining knowledge. We're at our young age, we have a different way of learning things. As we grow older, as we get wiser, we see things differently. So now what is happening is, as a cause and effect, now this man, now with the past actions, there is a painful result. There is a severe slap and sharp insult, which embrace him without his least consult. I mean, this did not tell him, this did not consult him, that they did not tell him that this is going to happen. All of a sudden, all these negative things happen to him. Then what happens? What he thought he was he's full of strength, very brave. Then he becomes weak. and all the dangers avoid him. Then he gets how many difficulties are chaining him tight. So many difficult comes. Then he says then he deeps into sighs and horrible grims start from his much troubled, restless heart. Then he gets into all kinds of groans and, oh, what happened to me? Why am I doing this? Why I'm going through all these difficulties, goes through all these groans. With plagues, heart restless and troubled, is he in his pitiless play of Chitta sea. So this mind has no pity. It has no pity. It really finds happiness in troubling us. So what happens with it goes through all his struggles. So in our mind, we are going through all these difficulties, whatever difficulties we have, whether it is some true and some are imagined and some through our attachments. But this mind never rests and it has no pity. But it makes us miserable, our mind. So ignorant acts brings forth results all. So the ignorant, they all results are. Lo, his mighty struggles of no avail. And lo, to please him, to obtain things fail. And for his acts mean, him nature doth reject. For each cause brings its sure effect. Then comes his past actions' painful result. And severe slap, insult. We got it. Okay. So we get into the restless heart. And then with plagues, the pitiless play in Chitta say, the causal winds blow in his furious sound, waves of mountains height. Again, going back to that where we were, in the sea, in the storm. These waves are mountain high. They are so big. Of course, there are some good times. When we have good times, there a moment he laughs, he's happy. A moment he does sigh, okay, I'm okay. Good a moment, okay, I'm good. Next, bad. Next, fine. That means very much he's disgusted, useless. And lo, his troubles constant. Who can see? These troubles are constant. Who can see? Who can see this? Whatever his actions past might be. So these actions are past, immediate past, or past from our karmas. Then his lunatic seeks his perverted way. So this lunatic, in American way, we call it crazy, but he is brainless, so to speak. Seeks in a perverted way, he does not think in the right way. For the permanent truth in the Maya's way. So he wants to seek the truth, the capital T, the truth, in Maya's play. Maya is the mind. The Maya, the perception is still the mind. So the mind is telling us, is telling the sadhaka or whoever it is telling us the truth, to find the truth in Maya's play. So it is not letting the person in the real way, in his Maya's way. For the shadows light, in the darkness gray. So what is he doing in the shadows light, in the darkness gray? Still it is darkness, but the gray. For the absolute bliss in the misery's play, and lo, what truth, what knowledge stream. So he's trying to find the truth according to his Maya. That the shadowless light in darkness gray, for the absolute bliss in the misery's play, and lo, what truth, what knowledge stream. He finds in the shadows of deceitful dream. So he finds this finds this Maya's play. In other words, this mind is telling him, is giving him, go find the truth. but it is seeming as if it is in a deceitful dream that is giving him like a dream, but it is deceitful. It is still doing in a Maya's way. It is showing him the truth, the path to the truth in a Maya way, in a deceitful way. So Maya is still deceitful. Although the man is trying to find a way out of his misery because he's finding whatever he's doing, it is not giving him his happiness, it is not giving him peaceful peace, although he has all he wanted with his very life struggles, he is still unhappy, he's not at peace. So he is doing, he's trying to find, but it is his Maya's way is finding in a deceitful dream. Next, please. So he is clinging to the sense of worthless in vain, and his struggle or such his painful chain. So whatever he is doing, he is starting, but he's still clinging to sense as worthless vain, and struggle or such his painful chain. Still it is very painful. His attachment is there, chain. Then his repulsion, then repulsion proceeds from his studying heart, which makes counter waves to start. So he is starting to repulse that he is, give me 1 second, please. Then the repulsion proceeds from his studying heart, which makes counter waves to start. And lo, these new waves dash every chitta wave. And lo, this class tide sent to the grave. From the many bonds his death doth save. And further a relief it gives, which every heart doth crave. And many a future pleasure that this relief doth pave. Finding which he verily becomes brave. Then this even lessens much grief. For he gets grand ground grief. He feels himself to relieved creature. Please go back for the beginning. So what, to the back. So what is happening here? There is a repulsion starts. So there is a counter waves. So in the previous one, his waves are so high. They're mountain high, the negative waves. And when there are so negative waves, there are some small waves. There are counter waves. To fight these negative waves, the counter waves start. And lo, these new waves dash every chitta wave. So remember, the chitta is our mind. And mind has so many negative waves based on our attachments. So these negative waves, these small negative waves start to find they're beginning to fight them. And there is a clash. And these clash, the kinds are sent to the grave. These are sending to the big waves to the grave. And bonds, and many bonds in this death that save. So these bonds, they're trying to save. And further relief it gives, which every heart doth crave. So our heart craves, our system, they crave little bit of relief. And a way to a future pleasure, this relief that pave. So it is showing the way. It is trying to show a little bit of paving the way, finding which he verily becomes brave. So now he's trying some strength. He's becoming more brave to fight those mighty waves. Then even lessen much of grief. So with his thoughts, with his fighting the Maya, now he's trying a little bit of grief. Now he gets a grand relief, and he feels himself a relieved creature. So he's getting a relief. So he thought he's saved. So he's got a lot of relief. He's not weak anymore. He's brave. He's finding some strength. So his heart is getting some relief, and he's getting brave. So so it vanishes much of his beastly nature. So what is happening to our nature? Whether you agree or not, whether you admit or not, we are all beasts. And this beastly nature comes from our present life and also past life. So all our negative things, beast does not mean we are beasts, but we have negative thoughts. So they all gradually go away. So it vanishes much of his beastly nature. Then with clear sight, he begins to view his own powers manifesting anew. And amazing these reasons pure he doth find, which each and every problem tries to mind. For vanishes much of his beastly nature, then which clear sight he begins to view his powers mighty anew, which among the reasons pure he doth find, which every problem tries to mind. So at this time, his nature is modifying. Remember, before his mind is still attached. So he's trying to find how to get rid of those attachments. So he has a clear sight. Now he has a better view what to look for. His nature is purer. So his beastly nature is gone. Then with this he discovered a reason he doth calmly say. So now he is calmer. Remember how he was. He was like in a storm in an ocean with all his negative waves, with negative waves going up mountain high, and with small waves he fought them, and with negative thoughts and getting rid of his beastly nature and finding the right way, finding his best, changing his mind, trying to get away from his attachments. He has come to, trying to solve the problems. Then with his discovered reason, he doth calmly say, ennobling guide, oh guide, now he seeks the help of a guide. To peace perfect, show me the way. Oh guide, please show me the way. So he found a guide. So he shows, he prays. He says, in turn, my humble heart before I lay. And besides this, what else can I pay? What else can I give you? I don't have anything to pay you. I come with a humble heart. Hearing this, the friendly reason doth reply. When he came, a noble guide, and the noble guide says, yes, I will. He replies, with thy request, surely shall I comply. For thou art mine, and verily I am thine, and take thee up into new spheres find. So I'm going to take you. Thou art mine, and verily I am thine. I am your friend. I'll take you to new spheres. I'll take you to new spheres. So replying this, as if ready with all his grace. So Although the sadhaka, the sishya, came to the guide, I say, I don't have anything to give you. I don't have, but the guide said, no, I'll take you, show the right way, and I'll comply. Taking him to the loving, fond embrace. With thy request, surely I comply. If thou art mine, verily I am thine, and take thee up to new spheres fine. So replying this, as if ready with all its grace, and without knowing the why or what he weighs. See, here at this time, the Guru does not know where the Shishya is. And without knowing the way, the why or what he weighs, or comparing the future service, what he pays, taking him into his loving, fond embrace, to his eager sight brings facts after facts. So the noble guide shows him the facts, one factor after another. His eager sight brings him facts of another, and with these build up syllogistic tracks, such as logic tracks, through which it carries him through all its tacts, which it often displays in many acts. So with this enabling guide, with his pure reason meaning it is pure here, pure satya, and with a pure satya, keep him on his own track. So until now, he was on the track of the mind. Now he is showing the right track. He's showing the satya. He's showing all the tracks, the right paths. Carries to each and every made up track. So he's making up some new tracks. He's making up new tracks. What is right for this person? And there the investing, it becomes to prosecute. In other words, here he's starting the investigation. Until now, he has not investigated. Until he's gone, just going through the steps. He has not investigated into true nature. Now he's going through the investigations and he wants to prosecute and he wants to complete those investigations. Where experience common fails to execute. And him how kindly each of them fairly soothes. Thus soothing on and on it happily moves. That the investigation begins to prosecute. Now this investigation is difficult. It is not a common experiment. Where experiment you can do, there is how there is also a result. For when you do an experiment, there is a result. But here, there is no result. There is no common experience to get this. So with this enabler, this ennobling, noble piece. Okay, I think I lost. Can you go back a little, please?
Next paragraph.
Okay. And each onward march guided partly lows, his heart is impure. Okay, stop there. Okay, yes, right. Sorry for the change. And each onward much the guided partly loves. Lo, his heart impure is there, and the effects of deed past he doth hear, which brings forth a disbelief, what strength who can say, and from guide this prize to lead him astray. This skeptic art and the rational guide, each of them taking each opposite side, to others' progress each trying to put a bar. Wage and wage many a mighty war. Lo, in these wars how confused he stands, laboring under past acts, high and heavy demands, and each struggle and experience bitter each, make him many higher stages to reach. So what is happening here? So the person is still, his heart is impure. Although the guide is guiding him through the right way, his heart is impure from his past, his immediate past and his past. So although he thinks he has strength, he's trying to go his different way. He's going astray. From the guide, he's trying to lead him astray. So although his guide is taking him to the right way, he's trying to go to astray. Then he becomes skeptic. So he does not believe what all his guide is saying. He's trying to get away from the right path. So each of them trying to going the opposite side. So rational guide is one way and this guide is the other way. So between this guide and this knowledge, the guide is trying to impart on him. And here the Sishya is going the other way. And there is a war. There is a wage a many white war. Lo, in these wars, how confused he stands. So there is a war between the knowledge and lack of knowledge. So these are fighting. There is a big war going on. Each struggle and experience better each. Make him higher stages to reach. And from his heart, many sins to be off they make. And many chains that bind the heart they break. So then and many chains that bind the heart they break. Then the void of this free heart, this spotless purity rise appears in part. And in the future's field, the chosen guide, looking into depth of each and every side, slowly marches moving on, bit by bit, till it finds the mighty final limit. So there is a war between the ajnanam, so to speak, and what the noble guide is trying to take him. And the ajnani, there are many chains that he has to break, and many sins that he has to take off, and many stages he has to go through. And he may, and also now the chosen guide guides him through slowly, one step at a time. Slowly marches moving on bit by bit till it finds the might and the final limit. But this progress, the skeptic power that slight, even with contempt, laughs the limited might, and further reasons reaches death overlook, and all this reason pure death skeptic heart. Even at this stage, the skeptic, that means the seeker, is not ready. The seeker actually makes fun of this knowledge of himself and also of the guide. He questions, he becomes skeptic at what he's learning or what he's teaching. So he's still not ready. So it's a long journey. Vain in march, the skeptic heart. But with a hope, to march the enemy ceases not. But still there is a hope. He does not stop. And empty that space, that art. Okay, vain in, okay, might. But okay, let me read it one more time. But this progress, the skeptic power that slight, even with contempt, laughs and limited might, and further reasons reaches this death overlook. With all this reason, pure death nobly broke. Vain thy march, says the skeptic art, but with a hope to march, and enemy sees not. And into empty space this death verily dart, till it comes to the point where it did what. Then the journey along its circle ends. It knows, but in very much the lesson same, it learns, then it fight against skeptic nature, it boldly turns. So what is happening here? There is a big fight going on between what the seeker is trying to seek and what the guru is trying to teach. There is a war going on between these two, but with the energy, with the knowledge, the seeker God. So what this knowledge, this noble reasoning, becomes very brave. He takes a brave dart. He with this dart, it is trying to hit him with ajnanam. He is trying to, with verily dart, till it comes. He shoots him. He shoots the ajnani with a big dart, and then the ajnanam dies. So in the war between the negativity and the positivity ends here with the knowledge that the seeker gained. And then till it becomes the point where it started. Then the journey long in circle and it knows. And knowing thus a different path, it calmly goes. And in every march, the lesson it becomes learned. Then the fight against skeptic nature, it boldly comes. Now I know and see what thou art. Now dost thou mean play thy part. Look, ready-made and sharpened dart, how eagerly craves thy cold blood art. Now his mind is ready. Now the seeker mind is ready. Now he is going to Guru again. Now he's saying, now I know and see what thou art. And how dost thou mean to play thy part? Look, this ready-made and sharpened dart, how eagerly craves for thy cold-blooded heart. So saying, reason dart in critical glance. Now this reason, that means it's the knowledge, darts its critical glance, which shatters the heart of warrior's expert lance. So with the expert lance, this is the dart. And skeptic art with broken heart at last. So the skepticism of the seeker is gone. Finally, it is gone. So the war, the seeker is winning. The darkness is going. Dawn falls in a moment to break it last. So all the negativity is going. Now reason with its bold and insight deep. This suits its foe to endless sleep. And there the friendly faith springs up soon, which is verily a guided perfect boon. And his ungoverned heart it fairly dreams, and hands over to reason's folded arms. Then each to each it further links. I want to take 1 minute, step sideways here. This 3 stanzas and 6 sentences. As for a poet, this is one of the masterpieces. It is quoted by a professor of English, Professor Sivaramakrishna, former head of the Department of Swami University, a visiting professor. He has written introduction to Purna Sutras, and he specifically took these 4 sentences out of there. And he said, as Swamiji put in a poem, in these deep sentences, he says he's how naturalizing the entire Purna Sutras as a system. So he's quoting this poetry as a masterpiece. So let's try to understand what Swamiji is writing here. It says, reason with its bold and insight deep. Here we have, what is reason? His reason is a noble reasoning that is given by Guru here. The reason with his bold and insights deep. He reasoned with his deep insights. Thus soothes its foe. Who is the foe here? The negativity or the mind. It is soothing. So the reason is soothing. And it is putting to endless sleep. So the reason is putting to its endless sleep. And there the friendly faith springs up soon. Then the faith, the friendly faith springs up soon. Now comes the faith. The faith is Shraddha. So the friendly faith springs up soon, which is verily the guided perfect boon. And this is verily the guided perfect boon. So this is guide's prasad. So he, the guide, meaning Guru, gave this prasadam. This is Vara Prasad. And he hands over 2 reasons folded hands. He gives it to his hands, in his folded arms. So, reason with his bold and insights deep, thus suits his foe to endless sleep. And there the friendly faith springs up soon, which is verily the guided perfect boon, and his ungoverned heart it fairly charms, and hands over reason's folded arms. Then each to each it further links, and with joined heart reasons fairly sinks into deepest depth of knowledge sea, where the final truth it doth lightly see. Then it transcends the limited texts, thus ably gathers the final facts. So then the reasoning is in the seeker's hand. Now there is joined heart between the seeker and the seeker. And the reason fairly sinks into deepest depths of knowledge sea. It's going into deep knowledge, where the final truth that it lightly see. Now he's seeing a little bit of real knowledge. Then it transcends into limited text, lightly see. So the Guru is showing the tracks, and he's lightly seeing it to limited texts. Then ably gathers the final facts. So he's trying to gather to final facts that the world as known through the sense, in the chitta's form, in form of sense. Now that, it is a capital that is the real, that is Sat. The world as known through the sense is the chitta's form in forms of the sense. So now the world, now he knows, these are forms of the senses. And the only truth, the only truth of the apparent truth, the capital T truth, that the real truth or the apparent truth is the world. And this is beyond Chitta's name and form. And the only truth, the apparent truth, is beyond Chitta's name and form in truth. And that the one, the only secondless one. And besides, there is nothing or none. Is the self or rural self of the Chitta sea. And the way knower and the known cease to be. Then, let's go back here. Where the final truth it doth lightly see, then it transcends, it lightly takes, thus ably gathers the final facts. That the world known to be here. So now, what he understands, the world he sees through the Chitta, the form and the forms of the senses. This is only the apparent truth. The real truth is beyond name and form. It is Chitta. Is this Atman coming next is beyond. This truth is beyond names and forms. And that one, the only secondless one, that is only one, there is no second. That's a capital O. And besides, there is nothing. Besides nothing, there is nothing. Beside which there is nothing or none. Is the self of all mourners, or the roarer self of the Chitta's sea. See, this roarer is the seeker, is the Chitta sea, where knower and known cease to be. At this time, that's where there is Sat, where is Chit, where is Ananda, there is no knower, there is no known. Is the self of road, self of Chitta sea, and that, capital that, is a fact realized and fully known. And the seer had in the Vedas known. Thus the guide points the truth rare. For greater progress, faith does it share. And with open gates, the united heart there. To the received knowledge vast, it doth dare. Now there is knower and known. And this is what our rishis showed us in the Vedas. That they showed us the guide. And their greater progress, faith does it share. Now with open gates, the united heart is there. Now the gates are open to receive the knowledge. As if to receive knowledge, was that it there. Until now, the doors are closed. Now doors are open. And more with complete faith. Now we have faith. And more with complete faith, it surely accepts the truths, the reasons, mature concepts. And by this, the heart mission's main. And that infinite truth, the guided wills to gain. So sages after so sages have passed. So all the rishis have given us this truth for us to receive the truth, to receive the knowledge, to have a complete faith. This nurit in this truth, the reasons, maturity, concept. Now the heart's mission, this infinite truth is guided wills to gain. All these physical forms and time is smashed, and with each form of its name washed. The new names and forms fresh are engaged. So all the names, the vision of this false universe, the Maya, they're all smashed and washed. Now new names and forms are engaged. Just Suddha Chitta's nature changed. So now our nature, our mind is changed with this knowledge. And this form, last the seeker's suit is arranged. In this form, new worldly gains please him not. Not even the fame for which he once sought. And the wealth, the woman appease him not. Now with this chitta is changed. Everything his thought is his pleasure is all changed. He does not want all that. He does not need all that. In these new forms, not even the Priyat, which Gemini great had sought. That is what Gemini Maharshi taught us in his Purvamimamsa, Karmakandas, where with our good deeds and all the good things that we do, all our papams are lost and we get to Swargam. But here, to the seeker, he does not even seek that Swargam, but he does not. He is above all that. For study, for intellect games, no thrust has he. He doesn't have any games that he wants to play. Not even for heaven's joy, which from his miseries are very fine. So he does not have any, he does not even seek that joy that all we sometimes want when we go to heaven. As his boundless love and desires, keen, for that marked infinite goal unseen, cutting off all his chaining desires different, to the changing world make him indifferent. So now all the games, or he does not want any games. These are all his boundless love. His boundless love. What is for his boundless love? To Atman. Cutting off all his chains of desires different. All his desires are gone. He was chained like a prisoner. And these are all gone. To the changing world, make him indifferent. What is happening in this world? He is indifferent. Further to him, this world to be vanity. It is all vanity. And a denial of this to be freedom, fairy deems. Once he denied, he got freedom. Now he's freedom. This is true freedom. Wife and family and such vacant dream. His wills and wills no more to dream. Of gold and silver and such fetter. Strong. Down to break he doth eagerly long. So his attachments to all these, it's a long fight. It's a fetter or a fray. It is all gone. The chains are gone. To gold and silver. Down to break he doth too eagerly long. For this idea, high, who can distract him? Who can change, who can distract him? For more his chitta is filled to the brim. His desire keen for that liberty pure, which is beyond rich and every vanity sure. Then with no thought of his family future sorrow, or his requisite bear of morrow. So at this, he has freedom for every desire. Gold and silver, family welfare. So he's freed from everything. So his desires keen from that liberty pure. He is beyond each every vanity, with thought of family's future morrow, of all the requisites bore marrow. Breaking the bonds that bind him down, or waking from dreaming world of his own. Away he runs into far-off glades of forest deep. So, with his knowledge, with his breaking everything, with his all bonds, with his guide. Now he wants the truth. So in order to break the truth, he runs into a forest. Oh, he runs into far off glades, into forest deep. Away he runs into far off glades of forest deep, into which worldly taint could never dare to peep, and neither lust nor greed could ever dare to creep, and where nescience was lulled into eternal sleep by many ancient saint and sage, who were with Maya many awarded wage, and who were gained that eternal peace and bliss. This, the only infinite existence, knowledge, bliss. Now he is running into the forest, where there is no lust or greed, where there is no worry to weep, and where nescience, where negativity was all lulled into eternal sleep. So deep forest, he runs into deep forest, where is nothing. There is no attachment to anything. There, everything there, where ancient saints and sages were, where with Maya many awarded wage, where Maharishis waged a war against Maya, and who were gained eternal peace and bliss, where in this dark forest, where they attain peace, this infinite existent knowledge peace. Satchitananda, where renunciation, he changing his life's mode, soon enters that the mentioned forest abode. Now away from binding word he hath run, with worldliness with he cannot yet shun, and besides this he ruffled chitta there, more heavily away from binding he hath run, and more heavy causal burdens he doth bear, and all these hinder far from what truly he is to be, the final goal, what he is, what was, and what shall be. Then knowing all this to be nothing else but obstacle mere, and to bring them into destruction, dance severe, and thus to realize that which is beyond Maya sheet. And with the knowledge of infinite Sat knowledge, where our Maharshis learned in deep forest with renunciation, his life mode is soon enters the mentioned forest abode, where away from binding worlds, the worldliness with which he cannot shun, and besides this ruffled chitta is there, and ruffled chitta, the chitta is ruffled, still is there. It is beaten up, but is still there. And more heavily causal burden he doth bear. And all this hinder from what he truly wants, what truly he is to be. The final goal of what is, what was, and what shall be. Then knowing this to be nothing else but obstacle mere, and to bring them into destruction, dance severe. So with all this ruffled chitta, that has to be destruction, dance severe. And thus real that which is beyond Maya sheet. So this is now beyond Maya sheet. He sits at an adept teacher's holy feet. There with austere practice and proper yogic plan, now he is with yogi. Now he is with austere practice and proper yogic plan. Changing the nature of that, his physical plane, Many Chitta's mystic secrets deep he drinks, and then of the truth infinite he vaguely thinks. This that thought, though verily vague he seems to be, constantly works in that his Chittas he, and where no feeble wave it giveth rise, which as prescribed by his divine teacher wise, into a symbolic form, which express will he doth mold. There with austere practices, a proper yogic plan, meaning like a tapas, changing the nature of that, his physical plane, many Chittas, mystic secrets, deep he drinks, and then the truth infinite he vaguely thinks. This thought there vaguely, it seems to be, constantly works in that in Chitta sea, where to a feeble wave it gives rise, which he prescribed by his divine teacher wise, into a symbolic form which expresses where he doth mold, which in nature is in which is in nature different from those old. Slowly and slowly this steadily forms into that molded form, that infinite symbol fixed and faded form, and himself to center in that fixed symbolic form, thus abate the internal world storm. Constantly, months after months, years or after, hard he struggles with eyes often filled with tears. Now he sits with his Guru's holy feet. Now prescribed divinity, with the prescribed form, he absorbs all his knowledge into a symbolic form, and will he that mold in the natures different from the old. So all the nature he folds into the symbolic form, that infinite symbols fixed and fade that form. So he fixes into that form. So it is like into a deep dhyana. And thus infinite symbol fixed and fade that form, and himself to center into that fixed symbolic form. So he's asking him to that symbolic form. He's teaching him to symbolic form. So in this symbolic form, he is into this for months and months and years. Often struggles with eyes filled with tears. So he's struggling with in this symbolic form, fixed in the symbolic form, with under the feet in this deep forest with his Guru. And it's such a hard and strenuous struggle, long, detaching from usual waves of Chitta strong, he enters that the only fashioned symbolic form. And this entrance saves him from many a future harm. Then each inward causal current stops to flow, and even the causal winds from without cease to blow. Now with binding waves the Chitta cease to swirl, and many a mystery secret begin to unfurl. And further, the old and dashing waves of Chitta sea slowly and so slowly involve the final cease to be. All around pitch darkness seems to pervade, and inward stage peace begins to invade. Where remains he who objects, centers, that infinite idol in which the subject enters. There, through seeming darkness, pitch and rare. A sudden burst of lustrous light doth glare, which reflects in the wave idle fair and pure. And him this mirrored image can easily lure, and each thus known doth in beauty surpass, and more this in all divine qualities mass. This charming and all captivating form find, which seems to be omnipotency only mind. The seekers sees or realizes as mighty call. Please, let's go back to this beginning. Now, the chittas cease to swirl, where mystery seeks to serve. Now, under the guidance of Guru, he enters the deep forest, and the teacher teaches what to do, and he goes into tapas and goes on and on for months and years, fixes all his thoughts into a symbol. And I am assuming, hope I'm saying right, Gurudeva, assuming it is Om. And in this Om, into symbolic form, he goes in and fixes in that symbolic form for months and years. And then when he enters the symbolic form, he casual winds no more. Chitta, binding waves swirl, and secret begins to unfurl. Slowly they cease to be, and there is pitch darkness. And there is pitch darkness pervades into the seeker, where his thought is completely fixed in a symbolic form, and there is darkness, and there he remains, and after the darkness pervades, and then brilliant luminosity forms. He sees, the brother says, the peace begins to invade, where he remains, the object centers. Next, please. A sudden burst of lustrous light that glare, where reflects in the wave of idle fair and pure.
ప్రాణప్రసాద్ గారు అన్నయ్య వాయిస్ పోయిందండి.
అది కట్ అయిందండి, నెట్ కట్ అయిందండి. ఒకసారి కాంటాక్ట్ చేయండి. Sorry for the interruption.
Sorry for that disturbance. Am I back?
Thank you, sir.
Oh. Hari Om. Continuation. This charming, all captivating form find, which seems to be omnipotency only mine, the seeker sees, realizes as one mighty call. Next. And in this ecstasy and his divine madness all, he doth enjoy perfect peace and bliss perfect, which in this worldly search none expect. Then it is in his enjoyment of all the divine bliss, the fair and charming form doth slowly miss. In that molded wave of Chitta sea, which in turn doth surely cease to be, thus becoming in each and every wave devoid, and so changing into calm and serene void. The Chitta doth merge into that, the seeming darkness, and doth lose itself in that primal darkness. But I am and I am. The ceaseless roar partly discordant, echoes and changes into blissful note concordant. Lo, even this note blissful doth vanish there, and there yet reigns the same darkness where, which slowly changing its mystic aspect view, and dispelling its apparent nature from its super view, that much in knowledge absolute, bliss absolute, the ever-shining truth, the secondless and absolute. Please go back. So he goes into ecstasy. In his divine madness all, his doth enjoy perfect peace and blissful perfect, which in this worldly such none can expect. In this enjoyment of the divine bliss, the fair and charming form dothly slowly miss, in that molded wave of Chitta sea, which in turn doth truly ceases to be. So even divine bliss shows to ceases to be. Thus become each and every wave devoid. Everything is becoming devoid. Everything is going away. So changing into calm and serene void, where there is absolute serenity and into void. The Chitta thus doth merge into that seeming darkness. The mind is, the Chitta is merging into darkness. And that lose itself into that verily, and that lose itself into verily primal darkness, into nature darkness. Everything is merging into darkness. And that I am, here I am, that self I am, the small s, that small I am, the ceaseless roar, partly discordant, toply in one way, discordant, echoes and changes into blissful note concordant. Lo, even this note blissful doth vanish there. Even that note vanishes there. There yet reigns the same darkness rare, which slowly changing into mystic aspects view, and dispelling this apparent nature from his super view, doth merge in the knowledge absolute, bliss absolute. So all this knowledge merges into apparent, into knowledge absolute blue. The ever shining truth, secondless and absolute, in these trances and super states on his own. So goes he beyond the knowledge and the known, where there is no knower and known. And with mean individuality in oneness lost, he knows the self, the only truth permanent most. Then anger and jealousy from him too do flee, and his mind even from their seats free. With the self alone its content, his freed mind, and knows no more double though not bind. For the self in this the seeming all finds, and the seeming all in this the self it minds. Verily in his well-kindled knowledge fire is burnt his heart, each knotted fire, and with it the action selfish bonds disappear, raising the mind beyond. And his mind even from their seats free, self alone is his content, freed mind, knows no more double though not blind. For self in this, the seeming all it finds, and seeming in all this, the self it minds. Verily in his well-kindled knowledge fire is burnt, is hardest each knotted fire, and with it the action selfish bonds disappear, rising the mind beyond beyond sins and sin sphere. His mind vexes not, since he is all in all, not bounded by passions, not he is all in this all, and his mind adheres not to good or bad, nor yields, nor joy nor curses, even sad, and undistressed it doth amid sorrows remain, and unpuzzled its worldly cares, and unanxieties vain. Thus the body disembodied doth this Buddha shine. So all the knowledge fire is burnt. With his actions, selfish bonds disappear, raising the mind beyond sin and seer. His mind vexes not, since he is all in all. Since he is all in all, in no good and events lie. Now he is Buddha. Buddham charanam gacchami, dhammam charanam gacchami, sangham charanam gacchami. Sri Jnanananda Namaha. Hari Om. Namaste.
Jai Jnanananda. So, Peter, you can conclude this. Can you conclude this or continue?
హలో ఏమేమి
Yes, sir.
వినపడుతుందండి?
Unpartment, sir. This is only English version, sir. Good morning, Jai Babu, sir.
You can speak it. Please speak in English. No. Maybe we should conclude this at this point.
Okay.
The English version.
One word and before you conclude.
Please go ahead.
This is Buddha's story. The Swamiji wrote. Typical Lord Buddha was born like anybody else and then went through the cycle of samsara and become a king and a father and he became a ruler and he became a fighter. At the end, he concluded his life as Buddha. That's why the story was written by Swamiji in such a beautiful way. That's why he put the name man to Buddha. That's the only word I want to add to it.
Thank you. Anyone who wants to speak in English, please speak. This we want to send it to non-Telugu speaking people too. That's the purpose of it. There's somebody raised a hand.
I will repeat again because if maybe I talked in English, Telugu. This is the story of Lord Buddha was given by Swami Jnanananda in such a beautiful presentation, both scientifically and philosophically. And the philosophical outlook of man to Buddha, maybe we'll discuss in next sessions. And this poem is dear heart to a lot of people. And I'm so glad Swami Jnanananda Trust to bring that poem to everybody today. And I'm very happy for that. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Dr.Ramaraju, sir, please conclude this session and we will continue personally.
Just one few words about Swami Jnanananda for people who are either new to the Satsangam. Few words about Swami himself. I don't want to say in my words. I want to say in some of his some sadhus. Give me few minutes, I'll get it. Swami, at a very young age, based on principles of teachings of Lord Buddha, as well as some great thinkers, went into sannyasam and attained perfect knowledge, both in spirituality as well as in sciences. So he is unique in the sense he gave up his worldly desires in his early teens and became a sannyasin and practiced severest yoga in Himalayas, remaining entirely naked in the snow and possessing nothing material, and attained the highest spiritual bliss and knowledge to please himself and also his Gurudeva. After thus realizing the highest spiritual self, Brahman, who is all pervading, perhaps he got the inspiration to experience its manifestations in nature, and consequently, to perfect his knowledge, he went to foreign countries and working in the laboratories by his intuitive methods, he has become world famous scientist in nuclear physics. His noble sacrifice, polite and patient dealings, childlike innocence and simplicity, smiling face, charming character, lofty ideas, grand personality, vast knowledge, make everybody a friend in no time. Whoever happens to meet his holy personality, be a child, young or old, fulfilling the attributes of Jivan Mukta. While sitting alone in his room without company, he becomes absorbed in samadhi, in which he passes several hours at a time in perfect bliss. But while at his desk, he works for hours on his scientific research, dictating long theses, giving notes, and so on without aversion. His contributions to science, philosophy, and yoga are all masterpieces, speaking of themselves. He is a Rajayogi by birth and Sthita Prajna by attainment. So he is a Jivan Mukta, a Sthita Prajna, and attained perfection and attained Buddha, the enlightenment. Thank you. With that, we'll conclude this English session. Hopefully, this will reach non-Telugu speaking people. That's the purpose of this. And hopefully, this is a start. I have to be honest. This is a project of very long, short time thing. I just thought about it about half an hour ago, and I even did not mention it to the host, Bhanu Garu and others, but I felt it just came up and it is done. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, sir.